Finding Jesus Monday through Friday. This is the last Sunday, the last weekend of this series. It started on Easter Sunday. It's an Easter gift to us, this reality that if Jesus rose from the dead, and he did, he gives us this abundant evidence. The tomb is empty, the changed lives of the disciples, the primary source materials of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John. It goes on and on and on. This evidence he gives us, and then he touches our hearts with his Spirit, right? And he witnesses that Jesus Christ is Lord. If Jesus has risen from the dead, and he has, then it's not just something that we talk about during the weekend worship. It's not just something we talk about on Saturday and Sunday, and we kind of say, oh, this is cool, this is nice stuff. No, it's a reality that we take with us throughout our lives, Monday through Friday. Jesus Christ is Lord, he lives, and so the gifts that we talk about here, we take with us out into our lives, into our homes, into our relationships, into our community, into our world. That's our focus. And today, you got to go back for me. All right, thanks, Joe. Today, the focus is finding your place. And what I mean by that, I mentioned it in the Confession and Absolution, the idea that we look everywhere to find ourselves. In fact, sometimes we think, boy, if I can just become fill in the blank, huh? If I can just get married, I'll find myself. If I can just have some kids, I'll find myself. If I can just get into that college, if I can just major in that, if I can just get that job, if I can just achieve that, if I can just do this, then I'll find myself, right? And even when we get to that place, even when if we by some chance achieve everything we think we need to find ourselves, we fall flat on our faces because that's not what it's all about. You see, it's a gift. This idea of finding our place. And it's a gift that God would give to us in the resurrected Christ. That's our focus today. I kind of wrote a statement out to get us going here. It says, today is about the gift of finding our place, a place that transcends every moment of our lives and empower us to know who we are. So this place isn't a particular thing we do, it's a gift that we receive, okay? To transcend every moment of our lives and empower us to know who we are and what we are about. In every moment, every change, every success, every disappointment. And this is the most important thing. It starts with grace, and it never leaves that place. Grace is God's undeserved love. Grace is a gift to us. It's given to us in the reality of the resurrected Christ. This is the place it comes to us. This is the place it never leaves. And to receive it, we have to understand that and every day trust what God gives us. We're going to start today with a short film to try to drive home this point. This film is a takeoff from the gospel reading today.
Grace is God's unmerited favor for us, his crazy love. And the truth is, many times we struggle understanding it. If you find yourself struggling to understand God's grace, don't beat yourself up. Even the disciples struggled with understanding grace.
Jesus, is that you? You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. Okay, I was in the boat and I wasn't catching any fish, okay? But I heard this voice and the voice said, cast your net to the other side. And so I'm thinking, I'm a fisherman, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not catching any fish, you know? And so I throw that net over there and then a gaggle of fish pop into that net and I'm going, this is a total miracle. Who could have done that? I need to know who told me to throw the net to the other side. And boom, I look up and I mean, there is you. You're looking at me on the seashore going, it is I, the Lord. You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. This is awesome. Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I love you. You're alive. This is so great.
Good, then feed my sheep.
Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on, man. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
I love you, yes. And I'm so sorry about that rooster cluck, and I had no idea what that meant, but I do now. I'm better for it, all right? Okay?
Then feed my sheep.
Andrew, I'm smiling, but I'm serious. Come on, get out of the boat. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Jesus, mere words cannot describe the passion that I have for you. I love you. You know everything. I love you.
Good. Good. Then feed my sheep.
I didn't even know you had livestock. That is so like you, though. There's something new about you all the time. That's what I love about you.
Peter,
yeah.
Do you remember the morning the ladies went to the tomb?
Yeah. We're all in the upper room trying to figure out what to do next, you know, because we thought you were dead. You know, you were dead, you know, and we're trying to figure all that out, you know. And Mary comes running up, and Mary's like saying, beehive, beehive, beehive. And I'm thinking, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep them out, you know what I'm saying? But as she kept getting closer, I heard her correctly. She was saying, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. And we're going, who's alive, who's alive? And she said she was at the tomb, and the tomb was empty, and she said that there was an angel there, and the angel said, go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay, he is risen. And so me and John, we hightailed it down there, and if John says he beat me, he's totally lying, all right? I beat him, FYI, all right, you know? And we get down there, and I'm looking in that tomb, and it is empty. There's nothing in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And John is right there. John is so good with words. He should write a book. He is so good with words. And John said, don't you get it, Peter? This is everything Jesus said he was going to do, and you did it, and it's done. Let's go. This is so great.
Wait, the angel said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay. He is risen. You've risen. Let's go. This is
He said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter. Go tell the disciples and Peter. You said my name. Why did you say my name?
Peter, that's grace.
No, I don't deserve that, because that night people kept coming up to me asking me if I belonged to you, if I was with you, and I kept denying you left and right, all right? No, it'll take me my whole life to make up for what I did. It was unforgivable for what I did.
No. What I did on the cross was meant to take what is unforgivable and make it forgivable. That's my grace. It's not about you. It's always about me. That's grace, Peter.
So it's never about us, it's about Jesus, and that's grace. That's the foundation of what we're going to talk about today. Go ahead. So we're kind of picking up this story from last week. Disciples are at least 7 of them, Peter and 6 others. They're trying to find themselves, right? They go out fishing because what else are they supposed to do? You know, this is where they've had success in their lives, and so they go out fishing, and Jesus sees to it they don't catch one fish, right? And then when they come in, he connects with them in a relationship. He says, friends, right, or buddies, bros, throw your nets over here, and they listen to him. And I can just see them the rest of their lives when they see each other. They're reminding each other, remember when we did things on our own? Remember when we tried to find success and on our own, we didn't catch one fish? And when we listened to Jesus, when we were connected with him in a relationship, when we saw him as our friend and listened to that voice, man, he brought great things. He blessed us in such great ways, brought great things from our lives. Remember that huge catch of fish? And they would talk about how it all stemmed from a relationship. As they came out of the boat, Jesus had breakfast for them. He said, come and have breakfast. And so their whole lives, the gift that we looked at last week was this gift of connectedness with Jesus in a relationship. Come have breakfast. It's a gift, right? Come do life with me. And as you do life with me, I'm going to use how you live. I'm going to use it. I'm going to bless it. But it's not about the fish. It's about the relationship, the life you have in me. And so this simply goes on with that. They're eating breakfast, and after they finish breakfast, this is what it says. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these? So I think that the idea here, and you see this later towards the end of this, Peter looks and he sees John following them, right? And so I think, have you ever been on the beach walking with a bunch of people? You usually don't go in a crowd, right? You have a couple that are up here, and you have a couple here, and then you have a few here, and a couple of stragglers, and everybody's kind of talking to each other. Does that make sense? I think that's what kind of is happening here. And Jesus takes this opportunity to saddle up next to Peter. He's got some things he wants to settle with Peter. He's got a gift he wants to give Peter. And this is recorded so he can give us this same gift, okay? So he saddles up next to Peter and he says, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these? So what's that all about, more than these? Well, if you remember on Maundy Thursday, it was the beginning of another downfall of Peter, right? He said, Lord, all these guys, they might desert you, but I never will. And that's when Jesus prophesied to him, said to him, well, before the rooster crows twice, you're going to deny me 3 times, right? So he laid it out for Peter, and he still denied him 3 times. But it all started with this idea that Peter said that he loved, in a sense, he loved Jesus more than all the other disciples because he would never leave him. And of course, that didn't happen. Now, a lot of folks, they only see that in these stories, but I think there's more going on here. Certainly, he wants Peter to remember his words that in his pride, he thought he was better than anyone else. But I think also there's some other things going on here. Peter has just gone to look for himself fishing, right? the thing that he was used to doing in his life, he grew up doing, that it was, it's like one of us going back to our roots, so to speak, right? A place where I feel comfortable, I can find myself there. And Jesus has shown them, no, that's not where you're going to have success. But he said to him, so I think part of this is, so Peter, do you love that fishing gig more than me? Because I got something more for you here. Do you love that gig more than me, though? Because we got to get this settled, Peter. Or even, he's with his buddies, right? It's kind of a band of brothers. And he's saying, hey, do you love these guys more than me, Peter? Do you love this fellowship, this band of brothers? Do you love any of these things more than me? Are you better than these guys in your pride like you thought you were? Or do you love this other stuff, this stuff that you grew up doing and that you found yourself in, so to speak, your self-worth? Do you love that more than me? Or do you love this relationship with these guys more than me? Do you love anything more than me? That's the question here, see? And Peter answers this. He says, Lord, he said, you know that I love you. And there's a play on words here. And to me, it's significant because it shows the heart of Peter. Jesus, he uses the word for love. It's agape. It's the highest form of love. It's the love that we see in God, in Jesus, and then those who know Jesus. It's the idea of being able to see the great need of another, and no matter what the cost, stepping up and fulfilling that need. The greatest example is Jesus on the cross. And so we're empowered to live that way as Christians, right? Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, right? We're empowered to live that way as Christians. That's the word that Jesus uses. Peter, do you agape me? And Peter, who by this time is humbled, right? He uses the word phileo. It's another word for love. It's called brotherly love. And so he's kind of like, there's a story of two guys praying, and the one guy can't even look up into heaven. He just says, God, be merciful to me, the sinner, right? And this is kind of Peter. Lord, he said, you know that I agape, you know that I phileo you. You know that I'm in the ball game. It's kind of like, remember when the guy came to Jesus and he wanted his daughter healed, I think, and Jesus talked about faith, and he says, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. Remember that? See, Peter has been humbled, and he's honestly now saying, well, man, how can I honestly tell Jesus, who knows all things, that I measure up to this agape love? I don't. I'm in the ball game. I do love him, but man, I know I don't measure up. And so Peter is carrying this great guilt, and it's really crippling him. He doesn't think that he's worthy to agape Jesus, see? It's really crippling him. And what this is about is Jesus meeting Peter in his great guilt and restoring him. Do you carry guilt like that? Are there some place, as Jesus comes and offers you a place with him, somewhere deep down you don't think that you can receive it because you just don't measure up? Maybe because you've fallen down on your face again and again and again. This is what Jesus answered. He said, feed my lambs. And there's so much in these three little words, feed my lambs. He's restoring Peter to where he was before. Right? Enclosed in these words is the cross and resurrection reality, right? Peter, this is what he does for us too. We talk about the forgiveness of sins. We have such a hard time thinking about what sin is, and we have such a hard time figuring out what forgiveness is. Sin at its root is turning our back on God and being isolated trying to find our place where we'll never know ourselves, where we'll only get lost, right? And in that place, we think that somehow we have to find our way back, that we somehow have to get there on our own, see? That's why Peter was saying, well, I don't really measure up, but Lord, I'm trying, right? And Jesus washed that all away. He says, no, you're restored as an apostle, Peter. You're restored to feed my sheep, see? You are forgiven, washed clean in the blood of Christ. You're restored as my dear child. This is your place, Peter. I've called you to be an apostle. This is your place. And it's completely and totally and fully restored to you. Not because you climbed the mountain, not because you've done something good, but because of the cross. See, it's always about me. Isn't that what the flick said? It's always about me, Peter. Grace is always about me, not you. And it's complete, and it's done, and it's taken care of. See, that's what it's about. Jesus does the same thing for you. Lots of times I've talked with parents through the years who want to talk with their children about sexual morality. And as we sit down, they say, boy, I don't know how I can do that with any moral authority because I really fouled it up myself. What does that say? That says that somehow I have to make up for it. And somehow this place that God has given me as a mother and father, I have in my own power. Do you see that that's the kind of the thing that's going on here? Where when God restores us in his grace, we're washed clean in his blood, and he puts us in our callings as your dear child, and he gives us the authority to speak with his voice and to love in his name. Whatever calling you are in, certainly mother and father, but husband and wife, a friend, neighbor, wherever you're at, wherever God leads you in life, see, he restores you to the place that he has called you to be as his dear child and to live there as his dear child, not because you've earned it, not because you've climbed the mountain, not because of anything you've done, but because of his grace. It's always about him, see? But Jesus does this. He asks him again, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Now, why is he asking him again? Because it's really hard to break through guilt. Right? We hear the words and we nod our heads, but we remain chained. It's really hard to know grace and receive it. So he asks him again, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me? And again, Peter says with the phileo, with the brotherly love, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus says again, take care of my sheep. You're fully restored, Peter. And then he yet asks him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And it says that Peter is grieved. He's not getting it, you see. Why would Jesus ask him a third time? Because what he's screaming at Peter about is this. Peter, you fouled up 3 times. You think you can't measure up, but let me tell you, Peter, no matter how many times you screwed up, my grace is greater than that, see? The cross and the empty tomb is greater than that. That's what he's screaming at Peter with. He's not trying to roll Peter over the coals. He's trying to show him his absolute, engulfing grace. Peter, you could have denied me 1,000 times, and 1,000 times my grace would be sufficient. You see, that's what he's saying. And so Peter says, he doesn't quite get it, but he says, Lord, you know all things. Amen, he does. And he's still coming to you with his grace, Peter. He knows all things in your life. That thought, that thing back there, that little dark reality in your mind, he knows every single thing in your life. And he comes to you with grace. That thing is not greater than the cross. It's not greater than the darkness of death, which he beat once and for all in the empty tomb. You see? That's what he's given to Peter, this place of relationship with him to live in. It's what he would give to you. Peter said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus says one more time, feed my sheep. Peter, you're completely and totally restored. Are you getting this now, Peter? No matter how many times you denied me, my grace is greater. Do you get this? No matter how many times you've denied him, his grace is greater. And he restores you not in the sense of washing you clean in his blood, but he restores you to live as a child of God. I remember when I was 8 years old, my family went camping in Yosemite, and my brother was 12, and we had this great relationship. I was just so blessed to have him as an older brother. And one morning, we wake up early, and he says, Brad, we're going to hike to the falls, about 12 miles. He says, we're going to walk to the falls. And I knew my place, right? My place was your shake. I said, okay, let's go. You know, I had no idea where the falls were, where we were going. And I remember that early morning, we're walking to the meadows, right? And the grass, I was 8 years old, right? The grass was like taller than me. And I couldn't see anything. I had no idea where we were going. But I knew my place. All I needed to do was watch him, right? All I needed to do was put my foot where his went. That's all I needed to do. And we started hitting these switchbacks. And I remember years later when I would go hiking, I couldn't believe switchbacks were so small because I remember them as wide as a highway lane. You know, honest. You know, I was just this little kid. And we hiked all day long. We didn't get back till 6 o'clock at night, right? We got to the fall, all those things. And I look back and I'm kind of amazed because I was absolutely content. I didn't think about if we were going to make it. I didn't think about whether I was getting tired or not. I didn't think about if I knew the way. I didn't think about if we were going to have water to drink. I didn't think about anything. All I did was follow him because I trusted him. That's what Jesus, that's the gift that Jesus is giving us. He makes this prophecy. He says, I tell you the truth, Peter. Right now, when you're young and vibrant, you're going to go where you want to go. You're going to do what you want to do. You're going to have great success, however you want to measure that. All the good stuff's going to happen. But there's going to come a time, Peter, when you're going to be chained, when people are going to take you where you don't want to go, where they're going to stretch your hands where you don't want to be. And the text says that it indicates the kind of death he was going to die. He was going to die on a cross upside down. Peter, this is going to happen to you, right? So you're going to have these great times and you're going to have these struggles, Peter. All this stuff is going to happen to you, Peter. But you don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to do is to know your place. And to know your place is to follow me. You see? If the tomb is empty, if Jesus Christ is Lord, if he is who he said he is, if his grace is absolute and abounds toward you, then you can trust him. You can just follow him. As I was looking at this text, it hit me that Paul in Romans kind of took this text, and you don't know what happened, but it seems to me that maybe Paul talked to Peter, one of the other disciples that were there, and then Paul takes this stuff and he puts it in theological terms, right? And he says this, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, see, it starts with grace in view of God's mercy, in view of the cross and the empty tomb, in view of everything that Jesus had done, in view of all these things, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices. Live in the flesh and blood reality. I think as Christians, this is so important. God calls us to follow him in the flesh and blood reality of our life. The whole reality of Jesus is that he steps into our flesh and blood reality, right? It's not just this spiritual, have a good time. No, it's the flesh and blood reality of life. Jesus steps into our world, and he heals, and he helps, and he preaches, and he brings the kingdom of God, and he steps right into our very lives. He says to us, in view of this mercy, in your flesh and blood reality, offer yourself to me. Come follow me. See? And then he doubles down with this Roman text. He says, for by the grace given me. See? It's all about grace. It's always about grace. It's always about Jesus, this gift that he gives us. For this grace given to me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. Oh, wait a minute. That's where Peter could receive grace, right? Peter, do you agape me? No, I can't claim that. I understand now. I need your grace. I love you, Lord. I'm in the ballgame. I'm trying. And I'll walk with you. But I know that I didn't measure up. I know I need grace. You see, it's always about grace. And it's always about not thinking ourselves too higher than we ought to. Oh, I'll find myself in the sandcastle I build. I'll find myself in this great life that I make, right? No, we'll just end up empty there. And we're tied to the people, the sheep of God, just like Peter was. This goes on, it says this, just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members don't have all the same function, so in Christ we who are many form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. Feed my sheep. Jesus restores us to be part of his family. You see? and to do this mission together and to serve one another. It's our place. It's the place grace he gives us as we follow him. And he personally empowers us. It's not just a story about Peter. It says we each have different gifts according to the grace given us. You see, he has wove us together inside our moms, and he's made us special, and he's gifted each of us special in his Spirit. For as we follow him, we do it as part of his family, and we do it to serve in this life that we live. And in this place, we find ourselves, and we're filled up. So the story goes on the beach. I mentioned that this is all happening. They're walking along the beach, right? And Peter looks back and he sees John. Now, John is called the beloved of Jesus, the one that Jesus must have had a special relationship with. At the Last Supper, Peter kind of nudges John and says, "Ask Jesus what he means," right? So there's kind of this special tie. And so Peter's walking along with John and he says, "Well, how about him, Lord? What's going to happen to him," right? I mean, Jesus has just said, "Peter, you're going to be martyred," right? So what about him? And lots of people, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I think maybe it's part of it. Lots of people say, "Well, Peter still isn't getting it," right? Well, what about him? If I got to suffer all this, how about this guy over here? What are you going to do with him? Man, if I have to go through this, how about him? And I'm not saying that's not part of this, right? But I think maybe part of this too, and we miss this, is the love that Peter has for John. And he's saying, is he going to have to go through some rough things too? I remember I was growing up, we had this thing called the Vietnam War that was going on. And we were getting towards that age where we might be drafted, my brother and I. And we had this discussion. Actually, my mom and dad were having a discussion at dinner. We knew when to keep our mouth shut. And because a lot of guys were running off to Canada and weren't standing for the draft, right? And I know there's a lot of moral questions about that, but that's what was going on. And my dad, who had been in a lot of bloody battles, that offended him. And he said, these guys ought to serve their country. And my mom at the dinner table said, well, what about your boys? They might be there pretty quick. And there was this long silence, and Dad, from the depth of his soul, it was so real, I'll never forget that. He says, well, I'll go in for him. You see, he couldn't stand the idea of us going through what he'd gone through. Maybe Peter was asking Jesus about John because he had a heart like that. You see? I think we're in both places sometimes. Sometimes in our lives we rebel against the way God is guiding us, where we're going, and so forth. And we say, well, look at these people over here. Why aren't they going through what I'm going through, right? But sometimes we think we have to guard these other people so they don't go through hardship somehow. I think we do that with our children sometimes. We want to make such a perfect life for them, right? And we want to guard them from everything that we don't have the idea that, and we don't trust that they can follow Jesus wherever he leads, and he'll take care of them. See, Jesus' answer is for both of these. Peter, what does it matter to you? You just follow me. Peter, you just got to trust me on this. Whatever you go through, I'll be there with you. Whether it's the great times, the good times, whether when they're stretching out on the cross, Peter, I'm going to be there with you, right? And you don't need to worry about these other folks. You don't need to worry that maybe they're not suffering as much as you. And now think about this with me. As Peter spread the gospel and people came to faith in Jesus and they suffered and died because of it, Peter, you don't have to worry about that. I've got them covered. They're walking with me. Do you get that? The people I work with, Matt and Melissa, They have gone to school to be what we call Director of Christian Education, right? And sometimes it amazes me at their faith that they step out and serve in this way. Because there's not a whole lot of protection for that. You know, a pastor can go to another church and so forth. Not a whole lot of churches that have these types of youth pastors. And yet they've dedicated their lives to serve in this way. And sometimes I want to protect them. Like I said to Matt, maybe you ought to think about being a pastor, right? Because you got kids and your family's growing and all those things, right? That's not my job. My job is to support them and to trust that Jesus will guide them as they walk with him. It's not my job to worry about my kid that's over in Hungary as a missionary, or my other kid that went to Egypt in the uprisings to be a missionary there. It's not my job. My job is to trust Jesus and follow him. My job is to pass on Jesus and to trust that wherever he leads those who are close to us, wherever he leads them, whether it's things that we would say are as great or horrible, his grace will be sufficient for them. You see, this place that he gives us to live in is powerful. It transcends every place of our lives, every moment of our lives. Come follow me. Set your eyes on me. And trust me to take care of every single thing, everyone else that you love. So this week, where are you struggling to find your place? Where do you feel lost and wandering in the desert as you struggle to find identity and your place in life? Where do you need, in all humbleness and honesty, to confess that you have tried to find yourself in the wrong ways and the wrong places? Wherever you made finding yourself and your place about self-aggrandizement and feeling better compared to others. By grace through faith, cast aside the veneer and receive anew the grace and mercy of Jesus, the crucified and resurrected one. Receive anew his forgiveness and his restoration. Hear and receive anew his words, come follow me. And having received, offer your body brand new as a living sacrifice in service to Jesus and through him to all. For this is who you were created to be. This is your place, a gift of grace and mercy from Jesus who died and rose again so you might have life in him. Come, follow me. Just trust my grace. This is my place for you, my resurrection gift that I give you. Amen.